Yeah, Izzo likes it.
I'm fully in on the Chuck train. Let's go.
He brings this like mad they call it the madman defense, or that's kind of what it's been labeled. Like, blitz, 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 put pressure on the quarterback, make the quarterback beat you. We're gonna get guys in your face from all different facets. You kidding me? With some of the recruits that we've had over the last couple of weekends, some of the athletes we already have on this defense, I think we could be really exciting to watch, kind of let those guys loose and run.
We're staring down the barrel of week 3 with Jedd Fisch. We've got a couple commitments in the bucket. I'm so ready for us to hire a DC.
And obviously, I think everyone's aware that Chuck Pagano was in Seattle at UW, or multiple people have reported that now. But it's like, is he just coming to, be a senior analyst type position, kind of like what we saw with Tedford? Is he going to be the DC? Is he going to be like the linebackers coach with a co-DC title? I mean, is he just coming to talk to Jedd Fisch, kind of like what you saw with the Troy Dannon, Pete Carroll the night before Fisch was, hired? Maybe it's just an opportunity to get those minds in the program, developing kind of some of the schemes, the program, what we're looking for. So it is a crazy rumor mill right now, and the rumors aren't just flowing at the Twitter levels. I mean, they're flowing up and down the levels of the program too, which is kind of getting very interesting.
Yeah, it is.
It's just weird that the hire was made 3 weeks ago and we still don't have a DC. Like, it feels very prolonged at this moment.
It does. Let me ask you this. Let's say it is Pagano. Whether that's linebackers coach or DC, how do you feel about that? He's been out of the game for what, 2-3 years now? 2 years?
I think like 4.
Let's do a little deep dive. Come on.
Yeah, I want to say that he was in Chicago. Was his last job, if I remember right, back in 2020. Yeah.
Dude, that resume.
So, what year did he get fired as the head coach of Indianapolis?
2017. Did he get fired?
Well, yeah. See, that's where it gets weird. Is like, remember he battled cancer, man.
Yeah.
And
okay, he was.
I think he did get fired, but he. Oh yeah. There you go. So I mean, but one thing I just want to say really quick about Pagano is he brings this like they call it the madman defense, or that's kind of what it's been labeled, like madman. I mean, he is like, blitz, 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 put pressure on the quarterback, make the quarterback beat you. We're going to get guys in your face from all different facets. And I think a lot of people say I think a lot of people say, oh, I want to do it this way, or I want to do it this way. But there's a really good article that was written from one of the Chicago Bears beat reporters on just how he uses different athletes to bring pressure. And I mean, obviously the Huskies aren't the Chicago Bears, but at least if that was where we're going to go, and just to answer your question, Izzo, with some of the recruits that we've had over the last couple of weekends, some of the athletes we already have on this defense, I think we could be really exciting to watch, kind of let those guys loose and run. So I would love to see that from a blitz heavy, pressure heavy type defense, and it seems like that's what Pagano would bring.
Now, people were asking about how does he recruit and all that good stuff. To me, correct me if I'm wrong on this, or if you guys have a differing opinion here, I don't think you're asking Chuck Pagano to recruit a lot. To me, this is kind of like one of those Pete Carroll situations where the guy's resume speaks for itself. Assuming he has some closing ability, like, you don't have to be such a crazy salesperson to come in and close the deal on a recruit, but I would assume that they might delegate that, or if he was DC, he would delegate the recruiting to his position coaches, to his staff, and then you would recruit into his system, into his resume, and let him be a closer. Like, you don't need, if you want to make a kid feel super special and super a big priority for the staff, then you send him on a visit, but he's not a guy that you have to have out and about. Look at this video.
Dude, play that video. That video is incredible. Are you telling me this guy can't recruit? Watch this. Watch this.
Noah, where did your
Is
video go?
T-Pain?
Is he going to bring the pain? I don't know if I know T-Pain.
T-Pain.
What's the song? Would I,
Chuck,
would
I heard you in the
recognize
shower
it?
today. You were listening to I'm in Love with a Stripper.
Oh, that's him?
Yeah. I can take you to a mansion somewhere in Wisconsin. That's him as well.
Are you kidding
That's
me?
actually one of the greatest bars in the history of music, they say.
He didn't do It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp, did he?
No.
You know, it's hard out here for a pimp.
Let's
Okay.
go.
With the
Closer.
Cadillac and gas money spent, you have a whole lot of bitches jumping ship.
Thank you, Chuck.
Closer.
Dude, are you kidding me?
That's awesome. Chucky boy.
Dude, I mean, I don't know, man. I think I know he's 63, and I know everybody wants to be like, can he recruit? Can he recruit? Like, dude, if he has a vibe like that, I think he can recruit for sure, man. Like, what you're trying to do is create relationships with these kids, and let's just say it, man. In the world of NIL, not that relationships don't matter because they do, but dude, a guy like Chuck Pagano, that name, Jedd Fisch, getting him, dude, those guys will recruit just fine.
Yeah, agreed.
I truly believe that.
I want to go back.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Izzo likes it.
I'm fully in on the Chuck train. Let's go.
Bitches
Yeah, let's go, Chucky P, baby. Chucky P.
What other names are out there? Have you guys?
But yeah, let's bring him in. He seemed fun.
Have you guys?
I think a name that's out there that a lot of people, just because, I mean, so the other day I asked who wants to do like a little research project. Look at the final 4 teams. It was Baltimore, the Lions, the Ravens, and the 49ers. Someone kind of try to look at those coaching staffs and see if there's any Jedd Fisch type ties there. And a name that kept popping up was Zach Orr. And Zach, yep, he's the inside linebackers coach in Baltimore for the Ravens, and he's just he's a kind of one of those up and coming type guys. But I'm sure he wants to be a defensive coordinator, and I think him and Jedd Fisch were together. I think I want to say Baltimore. I could be wrong there, but I want to say that it was a Baltimore connection, and so I know that was a name that like kept popping up.
Gotcha. Okay. Zach Orr. I mean, I look at that resume.
I like the NFL connections.
I do. If you're gonna run a defense on a power school for a big time program, I assume he can, but I do want a longer resume than that.
Yeah, you're saying it looks a little light to you.
It is. It does to me.
Yep,
Like if he can play outside linebacker for UW, I'm down with that. But
I mean, bro, I think how old is he?
He's
31. Bro, he might be able to
31.
still strap it up.
The guy, this would feel really weird to have a coach on the roster that's younger than me for the first time. He's a year and a month.
I'm used to it.
Oh my God. So everybody saw this yet, but Jalen Clem has now entered the portal. So if we look back to our dog chart here.
Oh no.
Yep. So we can go ahead and get
That's not good.
another body to replace. I mean, I didn't have him pegged as a starter, to be honest, and maybe that's the issue, but it really does seem like Huff had deep ties to the roster, to the current offensive line group. So bummer. I know it's very difficult to look at it, but left tackle and left guard.
The 2 of those T's on the bottom.
Really? So not on the roster.
No,
You're starting
no,
left tackle and
yeah,
left
I
guard.
would say. I mean, I still think that you're going to bring in 3 offensive linemen either between now and the second window, unless somebody's just ready to play center. Because I just don't think Landon will be ready to go come September. I mean, he might be ready to go game 4, 5, 6, something like that. But I think you got to bring in some sort of center guard combo guy, and then bringing in a surefire tackle, I think, is a must. So, I mean, your Hennings, your Tafai, I mean, they're going to be ready to go. I just don't know if they're ready to start game 1, but we'll see. Like I said, I still think you're bringing in 3 or 4 transfers. I really do. I think the whole season, if in all honesty, I think it starts in the trenches and ends in the trenches.
It does, 100%. And here's the silver lining, if there is one. I was talking to some folks that were close to the program about this, and they made the point, and I agreed because I thought about it initially. Like, your quarterback ran in offense with Leach. That was like 1-2 read, go. The passing attack is obviously going to look entirely different. But so long as you can move the chains, I don't think a lot of us are going to be looking for Will Rogers to have like 5 seconds in the backfield on a 5-man rush. You know what I mean? So we're just going to have to deal with that. We have to get through reads quick. You have to get the ball out fast. And so that's what the offense is going to be. And then, not to totally switch gears, but to talk about the running backs. With Jonah Coleman, Cam Davis is there now, but we're adding a lot of bodies to this room, especially bringing Rogers back. You've got Muhammad. You brought Jonah Coleman in. We were talking about Amos last week. It doesn't seem like he's coming to UW. So we were talking about what was Amos's role going to look like in this offense. And if the passing attack can get you to 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, who's the guy who's going to be able to pick up that yard or two on the ground? And I think Jonah Coleman's going to still be that guy. To me, I'm trying to decide for myself, who's your first down back, who's your second down back, right? If we're going to be a short passing attack that depends upon the run because our running backs are nasty, is there roles for these guys? And then what are they? Or is Jonah Coleman your every down back? I hope that Cam Davis comes back, but I'm just looking at how many guys are getting added to this room. Like, I'm assuming he will, but let's say if he couldn't, who's your guy that can get 1 yard? It's Jonah Coleman to me. That's the most obvious one. So it'll be interesting to see how the carries, like how the snap count works. Is there a 3rd down running back? Like, I don't know.
I mean, Cam Davis is an all-purpose back, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I mean, to answer your question, if you need a yard, I mean, Jonah Coleman, man, he's low to the ground, and he's an absolute wrecking ball in there.
Let's assume that Jonah Coleman is your 1st and 2nd down back.
Yep.
And in the world of, let's say, Cam Davis not returning, I'm not saying that is anything that I've heard, or I just look at us adding all these bodies to this room, and it makes me wonder, with all these exits we're seeing, like, what happens if Cam Davis isn't there, and who's the guy next to Coleman? I wonder if it's this name here, who we've seen.
Yeah.
Bill Krosky.
What is that? Jacory Bill Krosky Merritt. That goes by Bill, right?
Yes. Yeah. We'll pull up film on him.
Yeah, pull up some film on him. I mean, dude, he is a 1-cut home run hitter. I mean, it's kind of weird to me that he was at Alabama State and then at New Mexico. When you watch his film, I mean, dude, he absolutely hits the hole and goes.
Agreed.
Is he just kind of sleepy, like under the radar maybe? But I like his film a lot. I mean, yeah, I was gonna say he's like a 1,200-yard rusher, as you see there. Dude, 6.3 yards a touch.
That's insane.
I mean, that is 17 touchdowns. I mean, dude, you gotta like that. And
played a lot of ball, man. So let's pull up some film.
Yeah, so I was having a discussion with someone yesterday. It's like, look, he had 72 carries, 43, 121, 120, and 189. It's interesting to me that I don't see how he got an extra year, but I'll take it for sure.
So for those just kind of catching on here, he was rumored to have been on a visit to UW this week. So let's take a look here, or this weekend with everybody else. Let's see what kind of tape we can pull up.
There's probably no rumor by now. I mean, he was definitely here. He's posted on his Instagram that he was here, loved his visit, and I think a decision is coming pretty imminent for him. So you gotta like where UW sits for his commitment, but I guess we'll see. Obviously, he's looking to come into an offense where he can be showcased for his final year. So, dude, give me that ability, man. See ya. There you go.
The jerseys are icy.
I was looking him up earlier. Didn't seem like he was stirring up a bunch of interest though. Like, it didn't look like he had a lot of offers. Definitely not coming out of high school.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I honestly, the 1,200 yards and 17 touchdowns to me, like, You just don't do that unless you're an absolute beast at running back. So I don't care at what.
That's real.
You know what I mean? So to me,
Izzo, go back to that last one that you're just on. Where is that?
300-yard game passer.
No, I know. Hold on. Pause it like right there, dude. Right when he goes over the 50. Dude, look at this little like giddy up he has, like this second boost he has right coming up on. Oh, I'm sorry, the 45, right here it comes right here. See that? Yeah. See that little hitch? That little like it's like he's got that extra juice, man. I love that.
He exploded through the hole between the two players. Yeah, that's exactly
big time.
What you're talking. Yeah.
I mean, dude, if I don't know to answer your question, Mike, I don't know why he isn't getting enough or getting a lot of looks, but. Dude, from the film I saw him when I went and YouTubed him when I went to watch him for a couple minutes. Dude, he looks pretty good to me. Like I said, I would love to have him in the running back room. It's almost like the Brian Parham too, man. I mean, he's kind of under the radar. If you bring up some of his film too, which we watched last pod, I mean, he was a 2020 kid who I think he had a really nice sophomore year in high school, then ended up getting hurt in his junior year. And then COVID hit, so he was very under recruited. So I mean,
playing out that way. I could definitely see it playing out that way.
So that's kind of like you're still kind of get some of these COVID kids, man, who just didn't have a lot of film on them. And I think Parham and even Krosky Merritt, man, I mean, both same type of kids. So
he looked on the first play while you guys were talking. He had I don't know how good this block was, but he had a decent pass block on the first play that we watched. He delays the guy. It's not fantastic, but serviceable, teachable.
Yeah.
He's
what
lucky.
Do you think
grubbing.
this does for some of these other running backs we have on the roster?
We were just talking about that. We'll see. It makes me draw into question. There's a lot of bodies there now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the short answer is we don't know. But here's what I do know. Like, Cam Davis is coming off a big injury. So I'm assuming they're retaining him for now, like, and bringing him back, and that he wants to be here. It's just tough to enter the transfer portal after tearing up your knee like that. So we'll have to see. It's just we to bring back Tybo, and if you're bringing this kid on a visit, I assume they want this kid. The production is there, the size is there, the speed is there. We'll see. Maybe they're just trying to load that room and see who shakes out in the competition, and we'll know more in spring. So,
well, and I mean, I could also see it being one of those scenarios where, hey, you have a new staff in here, they're going to want to get their guys in as quickly as possible. And right now, with everybody dipping or having the opportunity to leave, maybe this is the time when it's going to happen. And then we see what happens post spring and going into the summer, try to fill out the roster, and then you really look to see them add big time after this season coming up.
Right. So,
I mean, Izzo knows this, man. I mean, I'm a big Cam Davis fan. I mean, I think Cam Davis is like a game breaker. Like, I really do. And him blowing his patella right before season, I know was heartbreaking for a lot of the staff, a lot of the players. He's a dog. And, I mean, if you're telling me you're going to bring in two running backs in like this Bill Krosky Merritt and Jonah Coleman, and they're going to push and you're going to push Cam Davis out, like in the sense of their talent, that would be mind-blowing to me. And if that's the case, Jonah Coleman and Bill Krosky Merritt are absolute dudes, because I think Cam Davis is a dude. Like, I really do.
Agreed. Yeah. It's certainly not to discredit. And last I'd heard, he was box jumping, and that was a month ago. So we'll see how things are rolling through here. But there's a lot of questions people are jumping in regarding the offensive line. So just to recap here, Jalen Clem did enter the portal about an hour ago. So that's another guy. I was saying, somebody was asking, like, did I just hear you say that you didn't think that he would be a big factor in this offensive line next year? That is what I said. I'm not saying like he isn't in the two deeps. I think he might have been, but I don't, just because the kid's a 4-star and like his dad is who he is, does not, he wasn't in the two deeps last year. We lost the front guys, but he was in the mix of fighting for a second, probably a second string spot, in my opinion, compared to even from what I had heard about Kali Tafai, Zach Henning. Like, you have this center locked up, assuming Landon's ready to go. You have the right guard, in our opinions, locked up with guard Memelar, and then right tackle is looking like Drew Azzopardi is the obvious right tackle. So it leaves left tackle and left guard open. And that, to me, is a battle between really these three names for those starting positions, in my opinion. Now, Sam Peacock can find his way in there. I don't think Elijah Jaquette is there. And maybe you could have seen Clem, but I don't think that a upside second string offensive lineman, in my opinion, was like a game-changing thing. It is a loss, absolutely. He's a good offensive lineman, but
he wasn't going to be ready to start.
Not in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
I think, I'm thinking that as far as like tackles go, I don't think our starting left tackle is on the roster right now.
I think that
Unless
people don't know about these two names right now. And I've heard a lot about Kali Tafai, but we will see.
What's Tafai's size right now?
He's a big dude, man.
Oh, dude, when we were at USC, I was on the sideline standing next to him, dude. He from a size perspective, he could play right now, no question, like easily. Oh yes.
So he's not like Henning or Jaquette where they have tackle bodies, they're just not filled in yet.
He's 6'5", 330 pounds.
Okay, that's
I mean Henning, and I think Henning more to me, he's more of a guard.
I agree with
same
that.
thing with Peacock, and they both have played.
Yeah, Peacock.
I
Peacock.
thought he was bigger.
No, Peacock's definitely a tackle.
Yeah,
but I think Peacock's coming off an injury, so he's not going to be ready for spring ball either.
Yeah. So somebody asked, was like, are we bringing in guys in the spring portal? That's the thought. We have a window right now.
This is the last weekend, if I remember right, that you can have visitors.
Yeah. Okay. So it's now, and then it's in the spring, and that spring window is in early April. So I'm just reading back on some of the chats here. DC questions. We talked about that. There's really only one name that we've been hearing a lot of chatter about, and it is Chuck Pagano. So we'll see. We don't know if that is just him. This is the point that Noah was making. We don't know if that is linebacker coach, defensive coordinator. He was just in the building chopping it up, but that's the name being talked about currently.
You guys hearing anything about defensive linemen coming in? Especially with us losing Green.
There was some chatter about a player, but I don't know if that player is still in the cards without KDB here. So we'll see. But I won't share his name here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know that Russell Davis and Isaiah Ward were on campus this past weekend, and I think UW's looking very good for both of those edges. And then also, I mean, Izzo, I think we know that Bryce Butler is going to be on campus, I think, this week.
Yeah.
He was an Arizona commit. I think he was at a Garden City CC. A little bit of a raw player, has some really nice tools, but we watched some of his tape last week, I think.
Yeah.
And but from a D-line perspective, that's kind of the names I've heard is Russell Davis. What do they call him? Deuce Davis, I think.
Deuce
Isaiah
Davis,
Ward
yeah.
and this bright. Yep.
Is he an edge? He's an edge, I believe, correct? He's not interior defensive line.
So when I watched Bryce Butler, he played edge at edge at Garden City.
Deuce
Davis, definitely an edge. He's like 6'3", 6'4", probably 235. Yeah, he's definitely an edge.
Yeah. So these are the two names we were just discussing, but I think Mike was asking about defensive tackles in particular. I think
just the defensive line seems to be real thin, and we lost another guy. That's kind of the way that I'm seeing it.
Yeah, I think we're at like 67, 68 scholarships and need to get to what, 85?
85. Yeah.
So it's going to be.
Izzo,
go ahead.
If you scroll up, so I have us at about 75 right now. But that's with yeah, that's with guys like Bill Krosky, Merritt. They're just with guys that I think we have a very, very good shot at. So from what we've heard, what we're seeing, so
Yeah. Okay.
that's kind of educated assumptions. I'll just
Now,
say it that way.
back to what you were saying, Mike, asking about the defensive line. There's more bodies there than I think people realize. Like on the interior, I still think you can add a name or two. I assume that the Parker twins, Davis, Valdez, that's Bandis, like those five, I assume will probably see quite a bit of playing time. I would assume
that's your starting defensive line in your opinion right now.
Those are the five that I see as like the rotation, the starting
with
interior.
Maybe Boyd moving in and out like he did last year.
I know a lot of people were like, what are we going to do there? It's a little bit more solid than obviously the offensive line. I also think that edge, this is the majority of the playing time is eaten up by these five, assuming you get Deuce Davis and Isaiah Ward. But we'll see. Himes and Holtzclaw have definitely taken strides. Holtzclaw played one play and had a sack. He's fast as hell. We just want to see him put on a little bit more weight maybe, and he's obviously got a ton of upside. And then Himes, it's year 3 or 4 for Himes in the program, so you don't know what you got with him coming in because he just hasn't seen a lot of PT. So obviously something needs to happen. You need to bring in these two and potentially one more. You need 3 more edges. So
the thing that makes I think everybody nervous right now is that when we look at even the defensive linemen that we have and the edges, there's not a lot of like production that's come from that. So everything is kind of up in the air. Everything is kind of like, if this guy does well, then we're good. But right now we have no clue. And if you were an opposing team scheming for our defense, you would look at the center of our defense and be like, oh, that's where we're going. Because to the contrary, doesn't our secondary seem to be really good right now with all the pieces that seem to be there all of a sudden?
That's a good caveat. When you compare, you would say we're probably running the football. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the corners, this room is ridiculous at this point. Look at how many years of eligibility are left in this room.
That's real. That's a really good point to make right there.
Yeah. And honestly, same here. With Menke, assuming Waters, if we can get him back, we've been hearing that things are going well. Raheem,
I saw something saying he was working out with the team.
Yeah, Mikkel has 3 years of eligibility left. I guess that's right.
He might have been here for a long time.
He might have 2.
What about some of the other portal / NLI release guys? Waters, Ratumana, Lair, Pocky. Mana's not coming back. Waters is looking good. Lair is not coming back, and we're waiting on news from Pocky. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, it's very clear through social media that his mom wants him to return, and it sounds like things are kind of heading the right direction. But we need to wait and see on that. More likely that he's returning than he's not.
Definitely agree with that, Izzo.
Yeah. Griff, love you, buddy. He's pumped that Jeremiah Hunter's back in the fold. That was news as of yesterday. Honestly, I wasn't super concerned about him. I know he hid his Instagram commitment picture, but I wasn't really ultra worried about him just because the role is so obvious. Like, I don't know if he was going to go somewhere and be handed essentially the number 1 wide receiver spot. So we're very excited, obviously, to have him, and I think he has 1 year.
I still think there's a very good shot we get another transfer that kind of round out the wide receiver room. I don't have a name, but if you kind of look at the Rashid Williams, Keith Reynolds, then you bring in Justice and Jason, and then Audric Harris as well. I mean, that's a lot of young guys. I think ideally just kind of rounding out that room, you would really like to go get another veteran presence in there with Giles and Jeremiah Hunter.
Are we still hearing good things on Audric Harris? No.
Very good. Yeah.
I think really matters the most in that scenario, though, when you're looking at that wide receiver room, is what does Denzel Boston turn into? If he turns into the receiver that everybody thinks he's going to be, then I don't think we need anybody to fill out that room. I think that room has got a lot of talent, and then you have that third guy to go with Hunter and Giles, and you have maybe who's your go-to set. Because I think you have coming up between Justice Williams and Rashid Williams, you have potential your next guy. Those guys are built like that. They seem to have that same kind of makeup to their game.
I think
We have
what
to see it
he's
play out, of
saying.
course.
I think what he's saying on that is like add another experienced wide receiver to the bunch. Plan for the worst. Don't have 2 senior guys and then the rest be redshirt sophomores and younger. And I would agree with that roster construction. I'd like to see 1 more veteran added to that room.
Because think of it this way, right? So let's just say you didn't bring in anyone, okay? Let's just say you didn't bring in anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Giles is gone next year. Jeremiah is gone next year. You go into 2025 and you have Denzel, who's going to probably get experience this year, and then you have a lot of young guys who's just like, holy crap, we really don't know what we have.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you go get a sophomore, you go get a junior with that already has some experience. He can step right into a 1A, 1B role with a Denzel Boston type next year. So that's kind of why I'm saying when you build a room, that's kind of the layers you're looking for.
Agreed. Now,
Yeah, I see
one
what you're
position
saying.
group that I think we should talk about. So we've talked about, we don't need to talk about, well, let's do this really quick. Shout out DeMarcus Davis. I don't know if he had recommitted since the last time we recorded, but aside from him being an awesome kid, he, like his mechanics and how fast he is and just like the mental makeup, he's got so much upside, man. Like this is going to be real interesting how this room shakes out for the future. And obviously we love both of these guys, so we can feel better about the quarterback room. So we've covered most of the offense. We've got quarterbacks covered. We know where we're at there. We know where we're at with the running back room, especially with this name added. The question that we're curious about as we move forward looking at this room is there roles? Is there a 3rd down running back? Is there a 1st and 2nd down running back? Is Cam Davis going to stay here with us? That we think that he is. And then what does that mean for the rest of this room? And with the additions of bringing Tybo back and Adam Muhammad, it just makes this interesting. Like, are you just stacking talent, or do you have ideas for these guys as you're bringing them in right now? So we'll have to see how that shakes out. We haven't talked a lot about tight end, but I think this room kind of speaks for itself. Like Quentin Moore, what you got there? Solid blocker, can catch. He's another offensive lineman when he comes into the game. So I think this is quietly a really big piece of our offense here.
Will Dissly.
I don't hate that comp at all. I feel like that's pretty solid. Yeah, I like that comp a lot. So Quentin Moore, if he's healthy this year, then you've got a stud there. Cuevas, we know what kind of downfield threat that he is. The question for him last year was whether or not he could come in and block, and it sure as shit looked like he could last year. He was mauling dudes, and he's just built. So excited about him. You've got Ryan Otten, Decker DeGraff as kind of the guys in the wings. Would you guys agree? You want to see one more here? I would agree with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
So that's that room. I would expect somebody. The great thing about tight end position is you've kind of got your starters in my mind shored up with Cuevas and Moore. And I think you just are looking to add a depth piece. And you can do that with a younger guy or a middle of the road sophomore, junior. And I think you can find that in the spring. That's the tight ends. We've talked about wide receivers. We'd like to see another veteran body added to that roster. We love the young talent. There's a lot of projecting you got to do. We love Denzel Boston, Giles Jackson, and Jeremiah Hunter. That combo as your 3 is very solid. And then we've talked endlessly about the offensive line. We want to see at least like 3 or 4 guys added. And the question marks are, when is Landon going to be healthy for center? And who is your left guard and your left tackle? Because the things that seem surefire, we know who it is, seems to be Azzopardi at right tackle and Guard Memlar at right guard. So that's kind of the offensive situation. Yeah,
really quick before we go to defense, is scroll up to tight end. Arizona doesn't use the tight ends the way UW use them. We had a lot more tight ends on the field in our offense than they do. I was looking really quick, so I was like, do they use it? And they don't. So they had the Tanner McLaughlin kid last year who had 45 catches. The next tight end was the Kenyon Burnett, but he had 3 catches. So where I'm going with that is I don't think you're going to have a problem with Josh Cuevas kind of being your big time pass catching, being able to block, and then you'll bring in the Quentin Moore type when you want to go 2 tight end sets. So last year where we had opportunities of Westy, Culp, and a Cuevas on the field, Westy, Culp, and a Quentin Moore on the field, etc. You'll see a lot more 1 tight end sets out of this Fisch offense.
Right.
So you think we might have enough on the roster as is?
Well, I mean, I think it's just about strengths, right? I mean, if you look at this, like you talk about like the layering of room, right? You have a 1, 2, 3, 4 right there in that room.
Yeah.
Now, last year in a DeBoer, I think you're 100% going to have 5 tight ends. With this staff, maybe you only have 4. I personally like 5, but maybe 4 is only where they'll go.
I think they'll
I have a
add a
transfer in there. I have a transfer in there for a reason. I think they're going to still go get one.
Yeah, I think we can use the indicator that we were trying to get potentially Dorian, the kid from Kentridge, or from Kent.
Dorian Thomas.
Yeah, I think that can be your indicator that there's interest in adding one.
That's
more,
a good point.
honest.
That's a good point.
That's a great call out, though. Nonetheless, is that if this is a one, we'll see, because they may have to change things, Noah, because of the question marks on the offensive line. So I wonder if we see more two tight end sets, especially as they lean on the run game a little bit more, maybe in this offense than they did last year. So We'll have to see. We talked about defensive tackles. We expect that kind of these names here plus Valdez is who I would assume sees a lot of playing time in the rotation. So to me, would I like to see a starter added? Of course I would, but I think that the rotation on the front end of it is solid. Depth, I want to see maybe a little bit more. We just lost Sugar Bear, the commit that we had that I loved, and I know the previous staff really loved. So we'll have to see how that shakes out, and it takes some projecting. We know what Elenius Davis's body looks like. He is a beast. It looked ready to go coming out of high school, to be honest with you, but there was a lot of bodies in that room, so they could give him that red shirt, and I like what he brings to the table, so I could see him having a big impact next year. But we've got 2. You think they're adding 2 guys? No.
Yeah, I do. I just think that kind of shores up that room. I think some guys like your Omar Khans, Anthony James. I just think those guys still need another year. Obviously, Omar's coming in right now, but I want to say one thing on Sebastian Valdez. I would be kind of the Cam Davis thought. I would be shocked if we had enough guys or had enough talent, even in transfers, to keep Sebastian Valdez off the field.
Yeah.
I think that kid can be a very, very productive defensive lineman in the Big Ten. I really do.
Agree. For edge, I think we all know the situation here. You need to add bodies to this room, and we're hopeful that these are 2 names that do get added. We feel good about that situation. I think there's room. We can all agree there's room for 1 more at least. So they've got work to do at this spot, but I think we can feel good about these 2 right here. So
yeah, I mean that on that really quick is Russell Davis and Isaiah Ward. They would be transfers from Arizona. Mm-hmm. So looking at the edge room from a 2024 recruiting class, that would mean we didn't bring in any defensive ends, right, or edges at that position from a recruiting standpoint. So I would really like to see a young guy brought in to kind of. I mean, if you can go get me a surefire starter right off the jump, like a BJ Green, like he would have been. Sure, I'll take that, no question. But I think they're thinking Russell Davis, Isaiah Ward would be that piece. But I really would like to see I'd really like to see a young guy brought in as well.
For sure.
Yeah. I'm looking up Davis right now. He looks like tall, but like small, kind of like Holtzclaw. I'm wondering if we got anybody that's got maybe a little bit more of the body for it. Let me see. Is it Ward?
6'3", 220 coming out of high school.
Yeah. Ward's a little bit bigger, but not much.
Those are guys that like Arizona. I can tell you this, both like that. Arizona is not happy that they're leaving. They really like both of those players. So if they are leaving, they don't want that. I can tell you that right now. So I would assume that there's bigger roles on the edge for them. And so if you add those 2, Voy, to what we saw from Lane last year was that he can absolutely play. And if you've got that with Durfee, it takes a lot of projecting. Again, we haven't seen a lot of it. There's not a lot of stats to point to between this group, but I think there's talent there. So,
yeah, I'm curious to see how Lane plays too, because he kept showing up on film when they finally got to play. If he wasn't making a play, he was around the ball.
Yep.
And so I'm curious to see how that plays out. And I'm really curious to see Durfee play more than 6 plays.
Right. So moving on to linebacker, we added Brian Parham. Brian is somebody that he's very fast, sure tackler. He creates turnovers. That was the big thing. He had some huge plays for San Jose State last year. He led them with like 109 tackles or something like that. We put out a couple clips for him. He is someone that I am very interested in what role he finds in this defense, because I think we all feel that this 2 inside linebackers and Bruner and Tupatala, that's a surefire bet, what you've got there. And so to me, you think about trading out the kid that we have from Vanderbilt, Ethan Barr, for this kid. I'm taking that all day. No shot at Ethan.
You think it's an upgrade?
Yeah. Like, no shot at Ethan Barr,
yeah.
But I'm taking Brian 10 times out of 10. Here's him with Lofa.
Yep. He definitely has a nose for the ball. Everything that I was seeing on Twitter as far as like the film they had of him, he had a nose for the ball. He was always around it. There we go.
So let's bring this back here. He's the thing I like about him, and one of the chatters pointed this out. He's smaller, but boy, he gets to the quarterback, and obviously a sure tackler. We'll see how he does with Big Ten running backs, but I think he's certainly strong enough. I mean, if that in that picture with Lofa, you can see how big he is. How many years does he have left?
This is his final year.
Yeah, this is his final year. So he's gonna see some PT.
Yeah, I think what you just said though is super real, and what I mean is the against the Big Ten offensive lines, I think we're gonna be pretty lucky to have guys like Carson Bruner and Tupatala, who are already bigger dudes, because like you said, you're gonna be seeing those big offensive lines.
One of the things you talk about is he can get to the quarterback. He's got long arms. And so it's like he has the ability to kind of get in and shuck and shed guys coming through the hole. And that's kind of what I look forward to, man, especially with the rumors you hear of like the Pagano stuff, man. It's like,
that's real.
Bringing the heat type of linebackers, bringing the heat type edges. Can these guys get to the quarterback? And if that's what they're looking for, I mean, I don't know if Brian Parham's like, there's too many better guys out there in the portal.
Yeah.
So
point is, looking at the linebacker group, you like that addition, and let me pull up the chart.
Dude, to go with Zoe and Carson Bruner, and then all the elite things we've heard about Devin Bryant. I mean, Devin Bryant's only 5'10", 5'11", but dude, there's an he can get up and go too. But there was an Instagram thing they put out today and had Devin Bryant doing some like hang cleans, power cleans. Dude, he's put on some weight, bro, like in a good way. Like he's yoked up. Yeah, I mean, he looks great. And so, dude, if he can keep his like sideline to sideline speed that we saw in high school and then what we saw in spring ball last year, because he was an early enrollee, dude, Devin Bryant could crack the 4 deeps as well.
I think he is certain. I think that's your rotation, honestly. Brian Parham and these 3 right here: Devin Bryant, Carson Bruner.
Yeah, if you scroll down, Izzo, keep going down on that. I think keep going. I think that's what I got. Zoe, Bruner, Parham, and Bryant. That's kind of my thought process. This is a very early depth chart because there's going to be so many moving pieces, but that's kind of what I see right there.
Like you might.
The only reason why I have a transfer there with with Hatchett on that center position is because I just don't know if Hatchett will be ready game 1.
Right.
That's the only reason.
Real.
So.
Gotcha. Cool. Okay. So that's our inside linebacker outlook here as we're adding guys. And we'll keep doing this throughout the year as well. Next would be safety nickel. There's nothing really changed here other than I really want to show people Raheem Wright tape. Because Rancho
Cucamonga.
Dude, This kid,
I just like saying that.
oh yeah, hell yeah. This kid can freaking tackle, man. Let me pull up his tape because as I do these, I get a chance to really look at a bunch of film. This is from one game. Look at the speed on this kid, and look at how this is just so. The part of the reason why I like doing this now with pulling up film from a single game is because I don't want to see all of your best plays. So this is from the entire season. We all like the highlight packages, but to get a better look, you go game by game. You spend 30 minutes, 45 minutes on a kid, you'll get a good read on him. This kid has burners and is a sure tackler. Like, I can't find a hole using this clip. I can't find a hole in this kid's game as a safety. Like, there was one clip where you guys will see it here in a second where he makes a bad read. He's keeping his eyes upfield and lets a guy get behind him, and he closes the gap immediately. Bang.
Yep.
Like, hold up. Look at this tackle.
When we were watching some of this stuff last week, remember we were talking about it reminded me of Mish a little bit.
Yes, that's right.
The line of scrimmage.
That's right. And I was giving you some crap because
I almost like that. Go back to that one, Izzo. I almost like that one better because it's like he has to dissect a play as he's about to go.
This
so
one?
yeah, there's this play. No, there's this play.
Okay, this is the one.
I'm sorry.
We'll go back to your
yeah,
play.
this one right here. But look, like watch him mid thing dissect, boom, still hit it and make the tackle.
Yep.
I like that a lot.
He plays downhill.
Yep, he does. So he gets
him.
burnt. Oh, I like
Immediate recovery.
Ooh.
That's my
Yep.
favorite clip of this on this package because he gets burned and recovers immediately.
He got some speed.
Yes.
I mean, I wonder when people watch this, like, he's a little. I mean, he's probably a little small. What does it say? 5'10" or something?
You
say 6 foot.
Yeah, he's 6
Ooh.
feet, 6 foot 180. I mean, that's
Okay.
that's not like terribly small.
No.
Especially not for a free safety. I mean, dude,
Yeah, if
Earl
he's
Thomas
6
was like
foot, you're-
5'9".
Yeah, if he's 6 foot, that's good. If you can get him around 200 pounds, that's where like most safeties are. Ugh.
I just love what I saw from this. And the other thing too is check this out. I mean, in terms of like recruiting an athlete to the safety spot or to a nickel, he played quarterback in high school, and he was like one of the California's best long jumpers as a junior. 23-1 on the long jump.
Yes, he's a twitchy athlete too, which you gotta love that. Oh, I like that little bunny right there,
I
that
think that-
athleticism bunny.
Some people, I think that I was getting some flack, like you gave him the pluses on all three of these categories. Like, well, tell me, does he not deserve? Like, go watch all his film, more than just this clip, and you will see that this is a consistent show out that he puts together. He is fast, he tackles well, and he's obviously got the athletic traits.
Yeah.
So, the future of this defensive backfield is solid. It's Diesel Gordon, Paul Menke, Peyton Waters, Raheem Wright. That's stacked. We'll see as we kind of look at this year. You've got one safety locked up, and there's going to be I think a battle here, and maybe you would throw all three of these in, but I think it's going to be Tristan Dunn and McEllisteen, and then you're going to find whoever doesn't win that battle. I would think maybe your nickel, but I know that the way that they were doing things last year is that they were training a lot of these guys to bounce between safety and Husky. So some of these guys can play both positions, including this name right here. And this is, I'm hopeful.
There was a picture today. There's a picture of Tristan Dunn and Peyton Waters standing next to each other.
Oh man, if you can.
And it is just, I mean, if you want to just talk about length in your secondary, I think Tristan Dunn's 6'4", and I want to say Peyton Waters is like 6'2.5", 6'3". And it was just like, dude, I mean, that's the type of length you're trying to bring in. It's like salivating, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It's like on the back end, you have that type of length. Then we brought in Ephesians Prysock. I mean, dude, he's 6'2". It's 3. Yeah. I mean, he's I mean, dude, Dude, I love that length, man. I mean, Elijah Jackson, he's already 6'2". I mean, dude, just the length we have next year on the back
That
end.
is
Yeah, it's
fun.
young. Yeah, dude, for sure. So that's what I mean. It's like we have a lot of guys. I think Jordan Shaw's 6'1" as well. So it's like there's just length is where I'm getting to.
Yeah, man.
Well, and especially against the different tight ends and stuff that we're going to see, having a guy like we had with Dom that can match up with them one-on-one is going to be really important. So that length does matter, especially there.
The way that Tristan Dunn was described to me last year was a faster and a more sure tackler than Asa.
Before we get into cornerbacks, where we finish up, I just would love to see Tristan Dunn this year maybe get to like a 210-ish, 212, somewhere in there, and then slowly but surely get into that like 215, 217, 222, 225 range, but before his time's done here at UW.
Sure.
And I'm telling you, if he can keep his speed, he'd be an absolute enforcer on that back end.
Absolutely, man. Totally agree. So the future of this position, both positions are extremely bright. So like we need Tristan, we need Mikkel, somebody to step up and play a big role and fill that other safety spot next to Cam Fab. And then the other one to take control of that nickel spot. So that'll be kind of the things to watch as we move forward is who shores up the other safety spot aside from Cam Fab, and then what happens with the nickel.
Yep.
The cornerback room is so unbelievably stacked. There's an argument that our corners are like much better than last year, like in terms of the group. Jabbar Muhammad, you can't take anything away from him other than the fact that he's a Duck now, but he was rock solid, right? But from what we're hearing about Prysock and what you can watch yourself, like the kid is next level. He is the one where you would look at him and go, okay, this can turn into a first round cornerback. So you have him on the other side of a battle between guys who are players who have played a lot of snaps now at this level. Banks, Jackson, Dixon, like that right there. And I know I'm probably forgetting somebody else in there as well. This room is arguably the deepest room, if not, I don't even know if it's arguable at this point. It's the deepest room on our roster.
We had a question. What are the 2 or 3 positions that you're most concerning on the staff? In the program? I mean, safety, nickel, cornerback, the secondary is surely not one of those top 2 or 3. So
I think the point that Mike made earlier, which is that talking about the interior defensive line and edge, the game plan against Washington will be to try to run the ball again.
Yep.
So we'll see how that works out, man. I mean, if we can get this offensive line in shape, get some bodies added in here that can start, I will be a lot more optimistic. Like, we're going to have to re-look at this entire season if all of a sudden we see 2 starting caliber offensive linemen get added. Let's see what happens this week. Here's one thing I'll just end this segment of the podcast here before we just kind of look around at Twitter and kind of bullshit and chit chat here for a little bit. Whoever this is, whoever's getting added as what you're hoping might be a starting, guard or tackle, it's not going to be somebody you've heard of. The big name transfer offensive linemen, in my opinion, are accounted for, and I don't expect there to be some splash guys that enter the portal in the spring.
Can we agree to disagree?
Oh, maybe something that I don't, but hopefully that's the case.
No, I don't know a name. I just think the NIL and the transfer portal, it's something we like the way it is now set up. I think it's just something we've never seen. I think there'll be players that will shock programs that they're leaving because there's programs who just don't want to pay NIL the way some other programs can. And I'm not even saying UW is like this monster NIL program. I'm just saying that you can't sit here and tell me that some kid out of the University of Cincinnati is going to look at, oh, I'm a starting offensive tackle here. I have an opportunity to go play at X university, and they're going to give me $300K, $250K, whatever it is, to come play there. I'm going to get in the portal and I'm going to go play go play in the Big Ten. I'm going to go play in the Big 12.
Hey,
so well, he's already in the
that's
Big 12. But my point.
So pause on that. Like, did we see any big name offensive linemen enter the portal in the spring last year? Because the NIL hasn't changed really from last year.
It
to
has
this year.
changed though. The transfer portal's changed though.
What do you, like how so? Like, are you talking about just
You can transfer. You can just transfer now. You can once it opens that window. So it used to be you have a free transfer. Once you transfer, unless you get a waiver, you have to sit out a year to transfer again. Now, a kid could have transferred in; they could transfer out now.
got it?
That's the most recent thing. That's the most recent thing that happened. I think December 15th was. There's not a lot of rules and regulations anymore on who can transfer in, who can transfer out now.
Interesting.
That's what I'm saying.
If that is true, and it's, hey, you can go and get guys in the spring to be immediate contributors, like once we've kind of gotten settled and the staff's gotten settled and they know what they're doing with their NIL budget and all that good stuff, man, this is going to be interesting to look back on, because if you can just pluck guys into the portal by, however, letting them know that you've got like a big bag waiting for them in the spring, and that was different from last year, then shoot, maybe I'll be a little bit more optimistic, because we just vacated so much money. Like, we just vacated, I would assume, like 90% of the budget last year from what was.
Remember this.
That's
guys.
real,
It's
bro.
not
That's super real.
It's not like Brendan Carroll or Fisch can call this tackle from Cincinnati, right? Like that would be considered like tampering, right? But if there is a pre-relationship with a high school coach, if there is a way that a player reaches out, like, do you see what I'm saying? I'm not saying the university staff is going to do this, but what I'm trying to say is with the transfer rules the way they are, it changes the second window more than it ever has in the past, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So we're done with kind of looking over the roster, talking about the defensive coordinator positions. If you've got any questions, now is a good time. Looks like somebody asked about Eurosic. There was a lot of smoke there when Kalen DeVore is here. I don't know that smoke still exists. I haven't heard anything about that. It seems highly unrealistic at this point. So I think a lot of luster left with him, with Kalen DeBoer on Eurosic.
There were some really, really exciting names that we were hearing when KDB was still coming off that run, man. It's so
don't make Noah bust out the whiskey and pour himself a glass right now and slip back into depression mode. Look, hey, we're
like, but to that point, I'm out of that.
Yeah, you're free.
I'm excited,
you're back.
Man.
You're fully back. I brought you back in. I'm going to take the credit.
Thank you, buddy.
Okay. Yeah.
There we go.
Good for you.
I'm drinking cold brew. I'm drinking cold brew.
Dude, that's how life is.
I thought you were drinking milk.
So there is still a ton of fun within this aspect of the program. Like, doing this, to me, is still a lot of fun in terms of the roster rebuild. You know what I mean? Recruiting and getting players in to start right away. The reason why it can be so fun is because we're the University of Washington. There's money backing us. It's not like Oregon money or whatever, where it's like there's no rebuild because they just pay whatever they want to get whoever they want to.
It's not money, Izzo. They build relationships.
Right. That's what it is. It's the culture.
Relationships with bank accounts.
If we were Texas Tech, this would suck. But we're not, man. Like, there's too much here. There's too much history here. People know this is a big time program. Thank God we got brought into the Big Ten and we're not recruiting into the Big 12 right now and alongside Arizona and Arizona State. Like, that would be miserable. But this is going to be, that would be horrible. Point being, this can be a lot of fun because we've already seen it. Like, all of a sudden, Raheem Wright, Jeremiah Hunter recommits, Will Rogers stays, the kid from the South End, Rashawn Clark. Like,
yep.
Dude, it's not like it's full blown.
Things are looking really good for Packy Finau.
Exactly.
Things are looking
Peyton
really
Waters.
good for Peyton Waters. I mean, yeah.
I think what it does, if we're going to be looking for that silver cloud, this time period between when the national championship game happened and spring practice starts, because it's so uncertain, we have so much more to pay attention to.
That bill that's passing in March, people need to realize what's happening there. what that will allow the University of Washington to do, it will allow our staffers to facilitate NIL deals. And they're the ones with incentives to do it. So it's about the same. It would put states like Oregon and Washington and California and all these other states on an even playing field for what we can do for setting up offers. So I think we should see a lot more NIL opportunities. I don't think it's going to be turnkey, flip a switch. You are all of a sudden like getting Amazon to give you $10 million into your budget each year, something like that. But you've got to galvanize the donors. And once that happens in March, it'll give Troy a bigger opportunity, Troy Dannon, to help facilitate those offers. Because the verbiage on it is that state employees can now start to facilitate NIL deals. And so that's the big change.
Hey, and let me say one thing on that too. What people always talk about, like when we talk about like voting, right? Whether it's like the presidential election, local elections, people always say like, well, my vote doesn't really matter, right? Is it really going to matter? Think about it this way. People are going to say the same type of things when they're giving their $25, $50, $100 each month to NIL collectives, because you can do that now. And so people are going to say, well, what's my $25 going to do? What's my $50 going to do? Dude, there's a ton of research actually now that says a lot of just the single fan donations, they actually make a huge difference in how they can kind of get certain players in different programs. So if people are listening and you can afford $25 a month, you can afford $100, $250, whatever it is a month, man. Dude, I'm telling you, do it, man. Because if you really love this program, this is the way college football is going now, and NIL is a big, big deal, man. And
amen.
We gotta be competitive. Yeah. Go to that Daniel Jeremiah. Click on that. Go to like the very with Penix. Scroll down. Go to like the very like last like 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Watch when he picks his hand up, how big his mitts are. Yeah, there it is.
Look at that thing. Look at that thing.
Look at those mitts, bro.
I want to check that hand out to see how big.
Yeah, I think they're 10. I think he had the biggest hands. 10 point.
My God.
Is Dr. J out there, man?
So, guys, thank you. Thanks for trying to keep things level-headed while I wore this big ridiculous chain that I'm super proud of and
I love it.
Try to rock, and my sugar bowl.
I really like
the Chucky. Is that the Chucky P chain?
I mean, I don't know what you're talking but though I was a little irritated when I was walking around seeing the Seahawks one. Like I saw this guy wearing an old school Kenny Easley jersey with this in the old school Seahawks logo, and I was like, all right, that's pretty sick.
If you're trying to go like that, you need to get the throwback Lawyer Malloy Husky jersey and wear that. I think that's perfect.
Prop top.
How about a Lawyer Malloy? I would just be so embarrassed. We're kind of getting to that point where it'd be so embarrassing to run into a player that you are wearing their jersey for that I'd be a little. but it would be sick. A 50-50 split of the old school Seahawk Lawyer Malloy jersey, and on the other side was the Husky jersey split down the middle. If you could make it happen clean. But
yeah, that's a tough. I mean, it's a cool idea, but that's a tough split. That's why I'll tell you though. To your point is that's why the only jersey I really rock from a Husky jersey is Sonny Six Killer, because it's like he's
that
like 75.
Filthy, though. That is a dope jersey though. I really like that one.
I
appreciate it.
It's worse if you run into a player who's off the team now, retired, who's younger than you, and you're wearing his jersey.
Dude, shout out to KP. KP sent me a game worn Ben Burr-Kirven jersey, and I was never going to wear it because it was too small for me, so I let my kids wear it. But in turn, to your point, that would have been hilarious if I tried to put that little jersey on and like, hey Ben, just wanted to see you in Husky Club, dude.
Dude. Yeah. Like,
I don't think people realize how big you are though. That's what that like. If the Huskies could get a linebacker that's your size, like playing on the team right now, I think everybody would go nuts. You and Izzo both.
No, I need about.
Well, most of the guys are my size.
I know you sent out a tweet earlier, but thank you guys all, man. We hit 1,000 subscribers.
Hell
last night.
yeah!
Appreciate y'all, man.
And dude, I mean, one thing about us, man, we don't have a backing for this, man. This is just us. You know what I mean? Like this is just who we are, and it's like we're real, we're just fans, man. We just love each other, love the program, and it's just like getting to 1,000 subscribers is huge for us. So thank you guys so much, man, for real.
Hey, but if you're interested in backing it, Hit us up in the emails. We can talk.
No, just emphasize what Noah said. Like, really freaking appreciate it. Thank you for subscribing. And if you don't already, if you're a lost soul and you're not in the Discord, like, you are supremely screwing up if you are interested to this point of Husky football information. Like, nothing puts out information faster when you crowdsource and you've got 50 freaking sources of people who are plugged in. It's just bulletproof. We get information from a lot of different places. We act as the guard and the filter. We ask people about their sources, make sure that the information is legit. We're not just sharing things willy-nilly, but things that are interesting to people. So well-sourced and responsible with that information. So just point being is get into the Discord, and we freaking appreciate you guys.
If you like Husky information, it's free to join. It doesn't cost any money. If you want to, you can join the VIP and pay that $8 a month, and it's totally worth it.
I love you too, Mike, Noah. Thank you for all of that you guys do, man. And let's keep it going, baby. We got a full off season. Let's keep things moving. We'll talk to you guys
y'all
soon.
next week.
Adios.
Woof, woof.
Yo, we need to sample that.